and gentlemen, thank you one and all for being here tonight. Thank you very much for coming and hanging out in the garage with the boys over here at the UFO Garage. Obviously, you can catch Ben and Joe Tuesdays and Thursdays. Now, what is it? Two topic, topless, kind of, but they're not topless anymore. It's the two topic without the topless topics on Tuesday with tacos. And then you got your Thirsty Thursdays. Obviously, you can always follow for that as well. And then you got me over here on Fridays. Is today Friday? Yes, today is Friday. I had to think about this. It's been a terrible week, guys. It's been a long week, but I'm excited to come and hang out with all of you. So Fridays, you can catch me 10 p.m. to midnight or 12 a.m. Eastern before catching Mr. Dave Scott over there at SOR. Speaking of that, I am actually covering for Lynn while she's off this weekend, and I'm excited because tomorrow night I get to chat with Mr. Rob Moorhead, and that is going to be a good time. I am super excited about that one, and we'll be covering some of the Sierra Sounds and all the other amazing things that he's done. So don't forget to check that out if you'd like. And then obviously next weekend we're going to have Priscilla from the Quantum Witch Cafe back. I promise we're going to actually get into her story and her experiences and her abductions and go into that. And hopefully there won't be a tornado. This will be the third time she'll be the charm. I think something must have been holding it off for us. I don't know. It's like every time my kids all got sick like crazy one time, and then a literal tornado rolled through on her. So luckily they are all safe and good over there. Thank you for everybody who is in the chat already tonight. Ren, thank you for being here. We got Mr. Enzo Sorelli. I've never asked you how you actually say your last name. I hope I got that right. Probably didn't though. T-Waz in the house, as well as Champ Campbell, representing Michigan. So many people from Michigan today. Mr. Bigfoot Michigan Rob. What is happening? Very familiar with Jessica's work, obviously. As well as 509 Divine Pines. Thank you for being here. Obi in the house. Excuse me. The I Believe podcast. Look at that. Thank you. He says, what up, everyone? So thank you for being here, as well as Rainy Cruz. We can never forget about Rainy Cruz. Always showing support. Thank you all so very much for being here. All right. Raise the tornado shields. Exactly. He came and grabbed her. He snatched her. He's like, this isn't a drill. Get to the cellar now. This is not a practice drill whatsoever. Alrighty, guys. So enough of me rambling, though. The only thing I'd like to mention, as you guys know, is we obviously have the UFO Garage retreat that we'll be having there in Texas. I am super excited about that, and that will be in November. And you can follow the UFO Garage podcast.com to go look up all that, or UFOgarage, actually, .com, and you can look up the direct links to that, and I'll probably post those throughout the show notes, as well as everything in the show notes, guys. You have that. Anything you want to do that way, as far as we appreciate those amazing super chats, we really do, but obviously, we've explained before, YouTube takes like 40% of both ours and yours money that's donated, so if you'd like, you can donate to our PayPal. We have Cash App, we have Venmo, some other options that if you're playing this back, perhaps it's 150 years in the future. Maybe I'm watching this, and it's like, I'm living another lifetime. Maybe I'm reincarnated. And I'm like, I resonate with what this dude's saying. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But if you are watching this in the future, you can go down there in the show notes and donate if you so feel so inclined, I guess, to do so. Why? Thank you for being here, by the way. And agreed. Lots of prayers over there for all of Europe as a whole. All right, guys. Enough about all that. Enough about me yabbering away. Let's get down to why we're really here. We're down here because we have Jessica Jones in search of monsters in the portals. And just who is Jessica Jones? Because there are many ones. Obviously, the Marvel Jessica Jones, I've heard you talk about before, Jessica. It's kind of cool that they named a superhero after you. I think you came first. We'll talk about that once we get you live here. She's backstage right now. Jessica Jones is the host of Into the Portal on KGRA, a digital broadcasting network. She is a paranormal investigator and remote viewer based in Northwest Georgia. She is an active field researcher and member of, oh Jesus, I feel like I should have gotten this, Enigma Research Group? We're going to come back to that, I promise, guys, or ERG. Anomalous Studies and the Observation Group, OSOG, and North Georgia Cryptid Researchers, NGCR. That all sounds very, very important. My entire resume, my entire life has never sounded that spectacular. All are action-oriented research groups which conduct field research associated with all things paranormal, particularly Bigfoot. These groups have obtained groundbreaking evidence at several paranormal hotspot hubs in the southeastern United States, comparable to the infamous Skinwalker Ranch. We're definitely going to be talking about that tonight, for sure. What sets her team apart from other groups is that they are all trained in remote viewing, or RV. In addition to utilizing RV in the research field, Jessica assists in missing persons / cold cases. She recently presented her field research at Camp Disclosure and is often interviewed on podcasts such as This the Night and radio shows across the globe. Jessica has been a very switched-on human since childhood. She saw the world from a different perspective than most of her friends and family. Her interests include studying ghosts and the afterlife, cryptids, watching the sky for UFOs at night, and astrology, which led her to be a tarot and oracle card reader as well. Jessica spent nearly 20 years as the executive director of the Georgia Commission on Women, a state agency advocating for women across the state of Georgia. She owns a small business, Woman Goods. Jessica posts videos of her ventures on her YouTube channel, The Cryptid Huntress. You can watch her live show on cryptids and paranormal field research Into the Portal every night at 8 p.m. Eastern on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. So buckle up as we take Old Blue into the cosmos and beyond once again, but this time we're going into the portals looking for monsters and more. Having said all of that and murdering half of it, let's bring on Miss Jessica Jones. Jessica, thank you so very much for being my guest tonight, hopping in Old Blue with here. Gonna go travel the cosmos and beyond, so thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. I thought you did a great job, actually.
Oh, words and reading. It's it's an important thing to have in life.
It is. That one word was enigma. It's enigma.
As soon as I said it, I was like, oh. Because there was a word the other day. We were doing a show with Jem and them, and it was possum, and I said opossum. I don't know why. I had to stop
because it's got an O in front of it. That's why.
Well,
any normal person would think opossum when they saw that. It's like true. A knife, right? A knife, knife.
That is true. That is true. Right. That is true. So yeah, and again, guys, right off the bat, obviously, we have all of Jessica's links in the show notes. So if you'd like to follow her on any of the platforms that she has provided, as well as her different channels, please know that is an option. And since people are listening right in the very beginning, this is always the best time to mention this. You kind of have some big news, which is exciting. Do you want me to let everybody know what's going on, or do you want to tell them yourself?
Well, there's a few things going on, actually.
True.
I have a new show that's about to start next Friday, a week from today, actually. I'm going to be doing a show with the guys from Texas Sports. So Bigfoot Michigan Rob's one of those guys. I saw him in the live chat tonight, and Tex and Bob Van Buren and Jason McLean. I'm actually doing a show called Remote Viewing Investigations with Jessica Jones. And I'm going to be investigating cases from all over the world that are suspected Bigfoot attacks and anything kind of paranormal, alien abductions, all sorts of weird paranormal stuff that was suspected to be otherworldly, right? So I'm going to be remote viewing these things, and I'm going to take my data from my coordinate remote viewing sessions, and we're going to talk about it on my show. And those guys are going to be co-hosting with me every Friday. So so I've got that.
Yeah. It's going to be a good time. I am excited about that. And then this was kind of a coincidence because you and I talked maybe a little while back. I actually meant to reach out to you initially after you were on with Josh with the Tribute Times podcast. Yeah. That was actually one of the first times I heard of, I had heard that, and it's funny because I heard that episode and then went back and I was like, wait a minute, wasn't she on Space Out Radio? And so I went back and listened to that one, and so that was kind of my introduction to you. And then now to come to find out, you are, what is it, the beginning of May here, May 1st? Miss Jessica Jones will be presenting a whole hour prior to the after hour show with myself and Miss Gemma Jade and John Hudson over there. So I think it's pretty interesting how the universe and life every once in a while just kind of brings us together. You know what I mean?
It is. I haven't made the official announcement yet, but yeah, I will be. I'm planning to be on Spaced Out Radio. Yeah.
So there you go.
Coming up in May. Yeah, everybody.
If you're here live. You're getting an inside scoop right now, guys. This is still under the radar, and luckily it's only on the internet now, so nobody's gonna know. It's just between us at this point. Nobody's gonna know at all.
It'll be Saturdays and Sundays on Spaced Out Radio. Yeah,
it will be a good time. I am excited for it. I think it's
I'm very excited.
And one of the great things about, I guess, diving into this right off the bat, anyways, is that what I like about what I've at least experienced with you so far, and I'm excited to dig into it a little more tonight, is that you really know your stuff. You're somebody who sometimes, not always, but sometimes we have people that are on the screen, like myself, you could say, who are talking about things and maybe are not experiencers, like in the sense that others have experienced things. And so we lack that real life experience. They call it like, true military experience, those that have had true combat experience versus just, well, I've had 20 years, but if you've had,
Sure.
5 years in the field, there's a difference, right? And you really bring that to the table. You've had years of being in the field, actually researching the things that you're passionate about and the things that just drive you to get up every morning. And now you've kind of, like you said, wasn't even planned. You've just been rolling into the broadcasting side of things. When did that really start? Was that even last year that started?
It was last year. I haven't been doing this for very long. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Enzo, I mean, yeah, a little bit. Well, I think we talked about it a little bit, but
just
it's out
touched
there.
on it a little bit.
Yeah, we don't know details yet, guys. So
we don't know. It hasn't been officially announced yet.
That's right. That's official. But having said all of that, one of the things that I am excited about every time I get to listen to you and going forward with some of the things that we have not talked about, nothing's official yet, is that you get to bring this perspective of someone who's had, I guess you could say, tried or true, experience. Mm-hmm. So how do you think that that's helped you, I guess, going into these interviews and kind of having these conversations with the general populace?
Well, because I don't have to think about anything before I say it. I have so much experience. And I'll tell you, I've been doing Bigfoot field research / paranormal field research for over 11 years now. So, I've been experiencing the paranormal since I was a kid. So it's just I was just thrusted out here. I don't know how it happened other than, I was asked to be a speaker at Camp Disclosure last year in August of last year. And through that, I was asked to go on some podcasts. And from there, I was asked to do my own show and at KGRA Digital Broadcasting. And so I've had Into the Portal, my Saturday Night Live show there since October. And since then, I mean, I've met so many people and I've gone to so many events and, it's something that I never meant to do and to go public with, because, there's always been a stigma to Bigfoot research and to paranormal field research in a lot of ways. And my teams are very private, actually, with our research. I'm a member of a couple of different teams, right? And one of those teams, one of the people went public with some of our research. He wrote a book. So I was able to start talking about it in public after he wrote that book, a little bit about the one area that we researched, because we research all over the South, right? But this one place is like Skinwalker Ranch. So similar stuff going on there. So when he wrote that book, I was given the green light. Okay, I can start talking about this now. And so that's how it kind of happened. And it just comes natural. I think it's just time. For whatever reason, the universe has put me out here on a platform, and I think that it's important to talk about things because there's so many people who experience this paranormal phenomenon, and just to put some normal people in the mix. I consider myself just a normal person.
Yeah,
and so just to put people out there that can talk about our experiences, I think it helps a lot of people.
I do agree.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure anybody who's listening right now, like myself, and when I kind of started coming across your experiences and what you were sharing, I think people always like to know, a couple of things, and at the end of our life's run, whatever you want to call it, when your soul and it leaves, your energy, whatever term you're comfortable with, people always talk about the beginning and the end, usually, right? Those are the two things that are very prominent in life. And so with you, where does Miss Jessica Jones' story begin, I guess, in the sense of, although you're saying you're a normal person, you've had some pretty abnormal experiences compared to the everyday person, as it were. So where did this kind of kick off for you? When did you start to realize maybe I'm not like everybody else, even if it took some time to recognize?
Well, I was always interested in ghosts and aliens and Bigfoot when I was a kid. And I remember taking my little nap mat, like little mats that you'd take naps on in elementary school, outside into my front yard, and I'd lay on it at night or put it on top of a hay bale. I grew up on a farm, by the way. So,
nice.
Yeah, out in Georgia down here in the South. But we had this beautiful night sky with all these stars, and I would go looking for UFOs at night. And so,
as one does, right? We all do that. That's common practice
But I started noticing all of my projects at school were like on black holes and stuff to do with the universe and galaxies and things. And so, that was a little different. And then, of course, I was doing these storytelling contests when I was a kid, and my grandmother would write me these stories about ghosts and fortune tellers based on true stories, or at least I've sold them as true stories. But and I won all these contests. And so what did I win for the contest? Oh, Encyclopedia Britannica books about solar systems. so it was more stars and black holes and stuff. But my family encouraged it, so it wasn't like I ever felt like I was weird or wasn't fitting in or anything until, as I got older and I was a teenager, I realized I could see ghosts and I could see things that other people couldn't see. And so that's where the weirdness started coming in, I guess, was when I was a teenager and a young adult, actually. I had a lot of experiences with paranormal stuff as a young adult, especially in my early 20s. I lived in haunted houses. I lived in downtown Atlanta, and I lived in a super, super haunted house.
Let's start there. Did you pick this haunted house? Did you know going in? Did you say, hey, which one's on the market haven't you sold yet? Which one's been out there for a couple decades?
Man, I was looking for a cheap apartment to live in. So
that's how it starts. There's the real answer.
Yeah. I was looking for something affordable, downtown, and right in the middle of all the bars and clubs. So that was that was the selling point, for me back then. I could walk to MJQ,
Right.
So, anyways,
no driving necessary.
No,
right?
We just walked to the Claremont Lounge and whatever. Yeah. So, anyways, your viewers don't know what that is because that's a terrible. Y'all don't go.
Well, listen, some might know. Someone in Georgia.
I'm sure some of your viewers will.
Someone's going. I know what she's talking about.
So I lived on the same street as the Claremont Lounge. And so, anyways, this is a super haunted house. I mean, my friends would come, stay at my house sometimes. Some of my girlfriends would crash on my couch or whatever. And we would come home late at night and there would be blankets of flies on my ceiling in the hallway, right outside my apartment. I was down in the basement. And blankets of flies. It was like you could take a shovel and scrape them off the ceiling. I didn't, I ran underneath them really fast and put my key in the door and slammed the door shut. And the next morning, these bugs would be gone. That happened twice.
So not any leftover, sometimes animals, crawl in a gutter somewhere or something. Nothing like that.
No, there were no dead animals in the house. They're just dead spirits. They're a bunch of dead people. There was a lot of weird stuff though. Yeah. Yeah. Rob, that would be your kind of place, actually. I would never live there now. That was one of the milder things that happened, actually.
If I might ask just a little bit out there, did people ever other people, some of your friends or anybody acquaintances see this or witness with
they were with me.
This with you?
I my friend Whitney, actually, I just talked to her today. She was there I believe both times, actually, and looking back on it, I often wonder, was it us that was causing all this? Was it us? Or was this poltergeist stuff? Was it PK, But I mean, I even had objects levitating in my apartment, levitating right in front of my face. I have a vase that had a flower in it. I'm looking, it's right here in front of me right now. The vase, delicate, blown glass. And it levitated off the table one night right in front of me. And it kind of just floated in the air for a minute and it crashed to the ground, but it didn't break. It did not. It should have shattered all over the floor, but it didn't. So Yeah, it was really really interesting stuff. And of course, I just kind of looked at it and was like, "Oh, that's weird." I went back to sleep.
I'm gonna go sleep.
Yeah.
I got things to do tomorrow. I don't have
I
time for
had to
this.
work the next day.
I mean, there are a lot of things we'll go back to sleep for if you got to get up early for work
It
in the
is
morning
weird.
sometimes, you know?
It is
No,
odd. That's something that's always been odd with me though too. Like when I've had experiences with, ghosts or ETs in my house or whatever was going on. I've had a lot of weird stuff happen. And it's always weird how you just want to go back to sleep or maybe
true.
they're knocking us out. I think maybe I got knocked out. But
That
looking
could
back,
be.
yeah, I wake up the next day and I'm like, well, why did I go back to sleep so fast?
It is weird
So,
that when you experience something like that in the moment, it's kind of like, it seems totally normal
yeah.
until you kind of have that introspective look back and start to process and go, what was that all about? Now,
Right.
when you were having these experiences, I guess, in this house, did you have, growing up, I don't know what your upbringing necessarily was or whatever, were you pretty open, I guess, or to the idea of spirits, as it were, or ghosts? So for you, was it just kind of something you didn't think you needed to, I guess, I don't know if you want to call it like go through and sage the house or, anything like that? Was it someone
Yeah.
that's like, whatever, this is a fair trade-off for the price that I'm paying? Is that
Man.
the perspective you had on?
Back then, yeah, I thought, well, man, I'm getting a good deal on this place. So I didn't know to protect myself back then. We live and we
I
learn.
gotcha.
And I
Mm.
did not know about saging back then. I did not know. I thought about bringing an exorcist in a couple of times to
I
exorcise
might
my
have,
house. I thought about bringing a priest in once or twice, but I just yeah, I didn't know to do the things that I know to do today. Um, I don't have the issue with ghosts anymore. I feel like my house is very protected now.
mm-hmm.
Uh, but I have had some ET experiences, and it's been a while. It's been a while. But yeah, I feel like there's in some ways I manifest things, and I think that that's
Oh,
kind of what was happening when I was younger is that I manifested a lot of those experiences on my own. Yeah. So
that is very interesting. That I've always wondered, how, and maybe I don't. Well, let's talk about it now. Why not? I think that at least I feel that you've said this out loud, and I know it's where I'm at. I know it's where a lot of the people I associate with anymore are at, which is that they don't really put any of these one things, whether it's ET experience, whether it's the ghosts or paranormal or Bigfoot or Dogman, any cryptid. I really see them as this big like goulash anymore. I
yeah,
don't view it as a one thing that's special to itself. Now it may be, and I could totally be wrong about that, but I really do feel they're at very least all very much so connected. And I often wonder if there's something behind all of those things that are given these archetypes, as it were, for us to look at. And if they're just reaching out and expressing to you or showing themselves to you in whatever way you're open to viewing them right now, you know?
exactly.
And so what are your, I guess, thoughts on that? Far as like you mentioned, you
Yeah.
don't really get the ghost experiences anymore. Do you think that's just because you were
Yeah.
comfortable with that idea in the beginning?
Well, now I did them because I protect myself and my family and my home from the energies from getting into my little energy bubble that I've got going on.
Mm.
Um, I have special ways of keeping things out. However, back in the day, I only knew ghost, right? I only
Yeah.
knew my brain. You only see what your brain understands and comprehends, right? So, growing up, I knew a ghost. There's ghosts in my room. I saw a ghost. Something moved. Oh, that had to have been a ghost. Even the vase, levitating in the air. I thought, oh, that's a ghost. Well, there's all sorts of other stuff that could have been, the
Very true.
psychokinetic activity, is very real. And I
Very
believe now
true.
that's what that was. I think it was me that did that. You know, I blamed it on the cat actually the next day, but it wasn't the
Of
cat.
course it
So
was the cat. They
I
love
tried to
knocking
blame it
stuff
on the
down.
cat.
Just
Yeah.
really quickly too, because we like to interact with the crowd, with the audience here quite a bit while we're doing the show. Enzo's asking, what exactly do you do to protect yourself?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that I always give the same general answer when someone asks me because I can't give away all my secrets because there's always people
No.
out there that want to try to break into your little protective shield. Okay. So, and being a remote viewer, I'm very particular about talking about these things. Okay. But I can tell most people, I can tell you guys to do this protective energy bubble. Okay. To always just imagine like a white light around you. Okay. Like a bubble that no one can penetrate. Okay. especially when you go into places like the grocery store, okay, or the drugstore or somewhere, and there's like the zombie apocalypse shuffling their feet all around you, you know, and staring at you with that fluoride glare, you know. Yeah.
Oh man.
So
True.
yeah. So you want to be able to protect yourself so you don't lower your vibration around people that are energy vampires, you know. So
Yeah. You know what? I mean, I used to think that was kind of sus, as we say. By the way, Jessica, I didn't even let you know before. You guys, you already know, if we say sus around here, Jessica, whatever they're drinking tonight, they get to take a sip of. So if we see someone say sus in the chat, or if we say sus, then they get to get a drink. So if you see me doing that, I raise my glass a couple times. That's
okay.
Why.
Well, I've got my tea here, so I'll drink too.
Perfect. That's right. Speaking of, energy vampires, that's something I used to think was, kind of like, yeah, whatever, right? But that is a real, I think, guys, anybody and you probably maybe, again, I'm not really always too hung up on the terms, some people have like, the terminology, but you can call it draining you, or I just don't feel myself, or whatever.
Yeah.
Pay attention to that. You'll notice there's certain places, there's certain people that tend to bring those experiences with them. And do you think that, going back to what you said, you thought you were creating some of your experiences. Do you think that's because we have the ability to kind of create our reality around us a little bit?
I mean, we're constantly creating our reality all the time. Everyone is. And so that's why we're always pumped full of so much fear in the news. And when you turn your TV on, it's such a fake reality, right? And so that's where the people in charge, whoever the heck is, are trying to always keep our minds locked in on this idea that we're basically slaves, right? We're slaves to the system. Like, go work, go, have a couple of days vacation here and there. And, it's just, that's not the reality that we have to live in. If we don't want, we can break out of it anytime you want. You just have to take those steps to do it. We are constantly creating our reality. Maybe that's why I'm sitting here right now. Maybe maybe I created this, maybe I was tired of working a regular job and this is where I'm supposed to be right now.
Hey, I'll keep putting those vibes on the universe.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
I mean, all you have to do is raise your vibration, do things that make you happy. That's what I recommend to everyone out there tonight. You guys do what makes you happy and everything will start to align for you. Okay. When you are on the right path, you start creating your own reality, okay? And you quit living by other people's standards and you quit worrying about what people think, okay? And you let it go out the window. Like, just do you, okay? Do you.
Very true.
And you'll create your own reality,
So I guess in stating that with yourself, going back to, the experiences you had there, now at this time you said you didn't give exact age, but I'm taking your early 20s or 20s, somewhere in there when you were going through this. Had you already started down the path of hunting Bigfoot? Is it, well, maybe hunting's the wrong term, searching for whatever your term you might be comfortable with, but had you already started on this path of Bigfoot being on your radar?
No, actually.
Okay.
I had not. Well, now everybody's going to know how old I am now. So
you're still 25. We're talking about right now. That's the 30.
I'm not going to tell you guys how old I am. So yeah, maybe I was. I don't know. So anyways, yeah, I mean, I'm not ashamed how old I am, but I'm still not going to tell you. But yeah, it was around that same time. Okay. It was around that time. And, perfect. Yes, I was not even, I'm the kind of person who will see an opportunity and I'll take it. And I'm very curious about things. And I am so not scared to step out of my comfort zone, right? And to do stuff because I just want to see all that life has to offer. And I want to experience everything. And I pretty much have so far. So I've experienced so much stuff in my life. But it wasn't until, like I said, about 11 years ago. Okay. I was, the Bigfoot thing just kind of stepped in front of my path. Okay. Like quite literally. I didn't go searching for it. I actually just kind of stumbled upon it. Okay.
Well, let's talk about it. How do we stumble across Bigfoot? Because I'm sure some out there would be terrified to do so, and some maybe would be. That's the thrill of the life. Then that's what they're looking for, It
was really interesting. I mean, it was through a meeting that my mother had gone to. She invited me to go to this like little weekly up with her. one
Okay.
night. Some people in Marietta, Georgia, which is right outside of Atlanta,
Yeah.
Verlene and Mr. Sam is what, and a lot of people in the community, in the paranormal community, especially around the South in Atlanta, they all know Sam and Verlene. And they would have these
Okay.
meetups at their house on Wednesday nights. And people would come in and talk about metaphysical topics and paranormal stuff. And they even have things like Bitcoin and,
Oh,
silver and
nice.
gold. And, and it was kind of an older crowd. I was usually the youngest person in there, right? But they talked about psychics and ghosts and whatever the topic was, of the week. And my mom said, "Hey, some guys that are Bigfoot researchers that are coming. You should come with me, and I think you'd enjoy it." So I went, and yeah, I went, and these guys had some serious evidence, man. They were like trackers and survivalists and stuff, and they believed what they were talking about. And I was like, I could feel it. Like these guys were the real deal. And,
Yeah.
they weren't like famous or anything. They weren't like people out in the, on a TV show or anything like that. They were just normal everyday guys.
But that
With
makes it
some,
the best sometimes. You can really tell, when people
yeah,
being real, like you said, resonating with people. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, it was, it was very convincing. And I after the show was there, I say show, but after the presentation was done, I walked up to them and asked them some private questions like, "Where's the body? Okay. Where's the
Yeah.
body? Where's the excrement?" and all that kind of stuff. And, why has this not been, shown to the public and whatever. And, yeah. And so they were like, "Well, hey, you seem like you're really interested. Why don't you join us on an expedition?" So I ended up going on an expedition with total strangers and out in the woods. And
That's
that's
the way
how
to
it
jump right
started.
into it, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way to. I mean,
Yeah.
shoot, where can I get just a random group of people to offer me to go on a Bigfoot expedition? Dang it.
Well,
I
yeah.
suppose
Well,
we need to make it happen.
looking back on it, I don't think anything's a coincidence. It's meant to
Very
happen
true.
because I'm right here right now talking to you guys about it. So
Very true.
I manifested it, I guess. But yeah, I went to the woods with these guys and with a group of people. They had just like a big expedition, and it wasn't just like their core group. They invited a whole bunch of extra people just to kind of see who melded with the crew and who didn't. And apparently I melded because they invited me to join their team after the weekend was over. Because we had some high strangeness out in those woods that weekend. So show me the poo.
Sorry, just
That's what I
this is a
said.
little bit of a flashback to a show we did a little while ago. The
Oh,
Fae will poo
really?
on your shoe. Because you ever heard of the Fae? How they'll poop in the shoe supposedly? It's like one of their favorite things
No.
to do, but it'll disappear. Yeah, we gotta watch out for the Fae poo.
Oh,
The Fae poo in the
wow.
shoe. But yeah, you're right. Those were the questions to ask. So you're in. What I love about this is that you didn't go off of someone just telling you what to think. You went in the field and
No.
said, well, I'm going to go make up my own mind. I'm going to go see what I'm seeing. And I'm going to decide to believe what I believe because of
Right.
X, Y, and Z. So
Right.
you're out in the field with these guys. And then how was it for, I mean, first of all, like your parents just like shipped you off, I guess, or whatever the deal. Well, we
I
can't
mean,
talk age.
I
We
was a
don't
grown
know
adult. I
what
was a grown
age. All
woman.
right.
So,
Okay.
I'm
All
not
right.
going to tell you how old I was again, but I was a grown woman, I was making my own decisions. And it's funny that but it was okay because my mom had these guys anyways, and so I made sure to leave all their phone numbers with my mom and everything. And we've all become like family now, of course. But
Right.
it was a little odd, but it was also I told my mom, I was like, "Well, it's your idea because you invited me to this meetup." So
She started it. She started the
yeah,
whole thing.
no, is a blessing, a big blessing because it was the best thing I ever did, honestly. And when people ask me if Bigfoot's real, I'm like, why don't you just get some hiking shoes and go find out for yourself? And that's always my answer to people because I'm like, well, I can tell you, yeah, Bigfoot's real, but you're not going to believe me. Half people won't believe me even when I tell them. So
Right.
the other
You know,
half totally believe me, of course. But yeah,
well, let's chat about that for a second, because I know we got some more will be rolling in here soon. So I got a couple stories I'm saving for you for the second hour here. But your first expedition, as it were, getting out there, what were some of the thoughts? Get us in Jessica's mind at the time. What were you really thinking? Let's be honest. Were you expecting to experience anything?
yes, I was actually.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Interesting. Let's talk
I
about it then.
was, but I didn't get exactly what I was expecting.
Okay.
I got out there. I had the full experience. You know, we were all wearing our camo, and you know, I had my list. They
Because we're
gave me
ready
the
to
list
go.
of all the of all like the equipment that I needed, and it was really funny because looking back on it, I was like calling my cousin who. I knew that he went hiking all the time, right? And so I was like, I called my cousin. I was like, what kind of hiking boots do I need? And I asked my best friend's husband, can you guys help me set my tent up in your backyard so I don't look like a dummy when I get out in the woods, you know? And so I was getting all this advice from all these different people about like, what should I buy? What should I get? You know, what should I take? And so I was very well prepared when I got out there. But yeah, it was kind of like I got exactly what I was expecting, but I got not what I was expecting to. So not only did we have Bigfoot activity out there that weekend, I had UFOs and like alien type activity that weekend. And it was a low flying UFO over my head one night. And it actually through that experience, my entire team was trained in remote viewing. So we could go back and
Wow.
look at a lot of the stuff that had happened to us that weekend. Yeah, there was way more that went on than we knew about,
So
after we went back and looked at it.
now, when you say that you're experiencing this, as far as like these UFOs, what was it? Something that, I mean, what was the reasoning behind it? I guess I'm assuming you guys are out there. I don't know how an expedition necessarily goes, but from my general understanding, there's a bit of bait, as it were. Was that what your gig was at the time in the beginning? Is there
Oh,
essentially like, hey,
man.
thanks for showing up, kid. You go stand out there and good luck. You know, like-
Yeah, 100%. I was 100% bait. That the first night I went out, I was bait. And that was when I actually had people ask me, have you had an up close and personal encounter with Bigfoot? Well, I'm not sure because I've had a lot of Bigfoot experience, but I have not seen one face to face. Like I haven't been close enough to like see one's actual face. But the first time I was out there, I was used as bait. Okay. I agreed to be bait. Let's put it like it wasn't like they made me be bait. I agreed to be bait. Okay. And because I wanted to experience everything. Right. So they had me walk up a hill, and I knew that I was going to be by myself, but I knew they would all be watching me through their thermals and their FLIRs, right? So if
Still
something
though, I
happened to
mean, they're
me,
not a long ways away. I mean, what are
it
they gonna
was a long
do?
way away. Well, I knew that they could at least tell my mom, like if a bear got me or something,
I guess
we
that's
knew what
fair.
happened to her. Yeah. So
They're like, well, she
there's
got taken by
comfort.
Bigfoot. Guess what? Bigfoot's real.
Well, there's
Jessica's gone
comfort.
though.
There's comfort knowing that they're watching me. Okay. Like if I were by
Okay.
myself, I wouldn't have done it. Okay. But I had a whole team of dudes down at the back of the hill, watching me. So I knew I was okay. Um, and one of them probably would have shot whatever at me if it ever grabbed me. Like they were all, a lot of those guys are like former military and stuff like that and law
I
enforcement.
got
So
you.
I would have been okay. I wasn't that worried. Okay. So, anyways, I got up about halfway up the hill and I felt someone running right at me from behind. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of like from the side of the field towards, towards me. And my legs got knocked out from underneath me. And it just kept going. Whatever it was kept going. I thought it was one of the guys playing a trick on me, like pranking me.
Trying to mess with you in the beginning, like we're gonna go mess with
Yeah.
the newbie out here. We're gonna.
Yeah. And I didn't hear anybody, but I felt the energy and I felt the presence. And then when my legs got, I want to call it like it wasn't hit really hard, but it was kind of like a playful, like a swoosh of my legs. And I jumped up in the air and did my arms like up in the air. And the guys down there at the bottom of the hill thought that I was in distress because that was actually the distress call. Okay. I didn't mean to do it. I
Wait,
was just trying not to fall
so the
down.
distress call was like the
My distress call
Karate
was this.
Kid. What's the? I'm sorry, I can't. Oh, I
There's
can
that just
picture
put your
the
hands up
Karate
in the
Kid.
air. Right.
Oh my god! Whoever watched the movie was like, my favorite movie ever is Karate Kid. Our distress call will be the one leg
That's
kick in the
basically
air.
what it was. Absolutely.
That's
Yes.
amazing.
So I did the
All right.
distress call apparently by accident. And, but
Oh,
after that
yeah.
happened, I kept walking because I thought, well, man, that was really weird because there was nobody there. But, yeah. So, eventually somebody did walk up to make sure I was okay. And, one of the guys down the hill was looking through his thermal and he swears a Bigfoot peeked out from behind the tree right in front of me. You know, I didn't see it because it was completely pitch dark outside, but
Well, let's talk about it just for a second, if you
yeah.
don't mind, as far as digging into this. So you can't, I mean, and I think anybody who's really been in the, I mean, guys, really go out in the woods, not in the city where there's this light pollution everywhere. And you, sure, if your eyes start to adjust, but if you get in the woods, and I don't know, it sounds like that's where you're at, guys, it can be like that. You just, I mean, depending on
You
the
can't
night.
see anything.
But you said you could feel almost as you're sensing, you can
Yes.
hear this, you could audibly hear though, right? You could hear something coming that way.
I didn't really hear anything. I heard a swoosh. It was like a swoosh. I didn't hear the grass moving or anything, but I could hear, it's like I could hear this. It was almost like a wind or something. Yeah.
Team America. And so you hear this whoosh, and then now did you, when obviously you feel this, whatever the inertia was or whatever took place there, do you know how, like, when you kind of see things or feel things around you, did you you can sense its energy? Did you sense
Yes.
anything like that? Okay, so you did.
100%.
Okay, interesting.
I thought it was a person. Yeah. I felt a person run up behind me, actually.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Hey, Connor.
Connor in the house, Bigfoot Connor.
Yeah.
So with that happening, you still just kept walking then?
Oh yeah, I kept. Well, what else was I going to do? I wasn't going to turn around and run. I had to be tough, dude.
Now, how
I had
long
to
did
be
it take somebody to
tough.
get to you though, to kind of check on you?
It
I mean,
wasn't. It wasn't long. Well, I didn't expect anyone to even walk up there. I just kept walking.
I got.
I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense talking about it now, but it just was natural just to keep going at the time.
But still, I mean, that's one of those things that it. Well, let me see how to word this in the right way. You guys record this evidence. I'm hoping, and again, it's not my team, so I don't get to make any calls this way. But you guys, you mentioned early on that you guys don't share a lot of your research. Okay, do you guys at least, track this so that one day the things you have encountered, the experiences you've had, could possibly be shared with the open public eventually? So in this instance, did anybody happen to catch us on a FLIR or anything that could have shown you falling?
Oh, no one. I don't know if anyone has that on. I didn't fall, actually. I just got my legs. I was
100% the Karate Kid movie.
I
in
did
the woods.
not. Yeah, I never fell. I
like-
actually was. Hey, listen, I was doing kickboxing every day, so I was like super in shape. Okay.
You're like, Mr. Miyagi's been training me at
Yeah.
the beaches out here in Georgia or wherever you possibly
I was a
were.
ninja. I was like the Bigfoot ninja.
Bigfoot ninja. Well, the spirit had to try you. They had to try you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
And
happen
it
to
was
me.
fun. I mean, and it was my first time out. So, I just felt like maybe I had brought some strangeness with me because I'm one of those kinds of people who brings the high strangeness. And I think that's kind of how it works. Like when we're out in the woods, I could go to any location. I'm pretty sure my team, certain people in my team especially, can go to any location and there's going to be weirdness. Okay. There's going to be something that
Interesting.
happens. Yeah. And I feel like it's all about the vibration that we're on. And it's all about that frequency. And like attracts like, right? Bunch of weird people attract weird stuff.
Sometimes that's the way it happens. Now,
I mean, it could
Champ
be.
Bailey's asking, what did you smell? I'm assuming they say I hear Bigfoot stink, or
No, I didn't smell anything.
No, so nothing smells. So just this.
Yeah.
Just
I've smelled them before and they do smell bad. They
Yeah.
do. There is a really terrible scent sometimes that comes with them. But I don't know. We experience so much paranormal stuff. It's hard to decipher. Like, people say demons smell bad. You watch those ghost shows. So
Very true.
we
true.
we have so much stuff that goes on out there. It's not all Bigfoot. Okay, but
Well-
Bigfoot's out there.
Now let's talk about this, I guess, and I know there's only so much you can talk about in relation to some of your experiences in this, but so this was some of your early experiences. Would you say, was there a moment where you were hooked? Like I feel like in anything we get into, maybe a hobby, there's a moment you can kind of look back and like, that was my moment where it hooked me in. Was there a moment with you with this kind of, I guess, field activity that hooked you in?
Yeah, well, all of it. Yeah.
Just the
all of
experience
it.
as a whole.
Just going out camping. Let me tell you, just camping and getting
True.
out in the woods is so good for your body and your soul and your mind, your entire spirit. It is just so good. And I was hooked from just going camping. Okay. So yeah, but considering the amount of activity that I experienced that first time I went out, yeah, I was pretty hooked from the beginning, and I didn't really have a choice but to keep going with it because it was almost like I kind of wanted to know what happened. Okay, because there was a night that I was out with my partner. The second night I was out there, we decided to do an experiment. Okay, and so we went back to that field where my legs got swept out from underneath me,
Okay.
and where the Bigfoot allegedly peeked around the tree right in front of me. And I say allegedly because I believe my friend that saw that, but I didn't see it myself, you know. So but there was a Bigfoot, you know, there. So we went to that exact same spot, and he and the guy who saw it, I'll call him my research partner. He and I put on our, you know, camo and his ghillie suit and all this stuff, and we went back there the next day. We had ghillie suits. So but yeah, we went out there, and we were going to set up camp, right? We were going to do a spidey hole, right? Where we were going to go hide in the environment, okay? And sit there from like 3 p.m. until midnight that night. I mean, it was like the longest day and night ever. But I was having fun. So we went out there and we blended into the environment. We were sitting right beside each other, by the way. It's not like we were, you know, spread out for safety purposes, of course. But we went out there and we sat for hours on hours and hours and hours. And the whole point was we were going to sit out there, and then around 9 o'clock that night, our team was going to come back out and act like humans, normal humans, just la la la, you know, let's play some drums, you know, bring the didgeridoo out or something. I don't know, you know, just it was something. I don't know. It was just like they're all going to bring their camping chairs out into the middle of this field, and we were my partner and I were like hiding in the woods, right? Well, we were hoping that we would be there for so long, the Bigfoots would never see us. They wouldn't even know we were there, and then they'd walk up on us and step on us, trying to see the humans. You know what I'm saying?
True.
But yeah. We weren't fooling those Bigfoots.
What's the plan? You guys are like ready to die, it sounds like, out in the field for this evidence. Is that the case? Have you guys all made like a blood pact on this?
But it's not evidence. True. We're not doing this for other people. We're doing this for us. Okay.
Very, very important. That is true. Now, I'm assuming nothing happened. I'm assuming we didn't
Oh yeah, a lot of stuff happened. A lot of stuff happened.
Okay, well, let's talk. So you guys are out there, ghillie suited up, you're sniping for like 3 days. You're just buried in the mud at this point. What took place? I was
so tired. It was crazy, but it was so exciting. So we sat there in the woods, and the crew came out, right? Well, before the people came out, he and I were sitting there, and we were looking up to the side of, you know, we're surrounded by mountains. Okay, we're in the North Georgia mountains. Okay, I'm not going to tell you where, but we were in the mountains. Okay,
in the mountains. There
in the
go.
Mountains.
That's a start.
And a light just showed up out of nowhere on the side of a mountain that was beside us, and it looked like headlights of a truck. And so this light was like moving in a horizontal direction back and forth on the wood, like a wood line of the side of this mountain. And so we thought at first it was a truck or something, right?
Yeah.
But then we started thinking there's not a trail for a car to go over there. Those are just like, there's not even trails there. It's just woods, like dense woods. And then we were thinking, well, maybe it's a hiker holding a lantern, a super bright lantern, right? But then we're like, no, because they would not be walking in a straight line like that. There's no way. And so our minds are trying to be rational about this, right? And, you know, one thing's leading to another. We start looking up in the sky, and there's more like UFOs flying over us, like high up in the air. And we're watching the direction of these crafts that are flying. And he was like, hey, you know, hold your finger right here and then watch the direction that light's going. And he's like, see where it's moving, and you know, don't let your finger move. And he was trying to see if I was seeing these things. And I was like, well, okay, yeah. There was just so much weird activity going on, right? Well, the people came out, acted like humans, were loud, you know, acting like they were going to do a Bigfoot call and stuff, you know, like
that's what they were just saying.
Just trying to do some funny stuff, you know, and then while they were out there, they were seeing red lights in the woods, like laser red lights, and they thought that it was me and my partner. They were not even
Just messing
5 to
with you
10
guys.
feet from where we were sitting. These lights were in the woods right beside he and I. It wasn't us. Okay. So weird stuff. Like and they didn't tell us until we got back to camp at, midnight that night. Later on, like, hey, we saw your red lights. And we're like, that wasn't us. We were sitting down the way from there. But anyways, long story short, I had my recording device on the entire night, and I went back and listened to it, and it sounded like bottle rockets going off all around me this whole time, right? It sounded like literal bottle rockets were being lit all around me, and we did not hear that night.
So you optically were seeing. I'm sorry, not you guys. The other people were seeing these
red
little
lights.
red lights.
Two red lights.
But you guys on your recording actually could hear audible
bottle rockets.
Wow.
Pew,
very
pew,
interesting.
Pew, 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 pew.
I
Yeah.
love what Enzo's saying though, because in my mind I'm just picturing this. I'm just like, you guys don't know for some reason they're out there. They don't know you're out there. The weekends got mixed up. I don't know. You guys are sneaking up on each other, thinking you made the discovery.
No, actually, okay. So we go really, really, really deep in the woods and way off, and we rarely run into anyone. And if we do run into someone, that's usually a serial killer. Okay.
Oh, jeez.
I'm just kidding.
He's got a shovel out there. Oh no.
Got to be real careful,
Well,
but
you're not wrong though. You're not wrong. You go in the woods. There's a lot of things that can take you out there. That's
well,
sure.
there are, and that's another issue about being a Bigfoot researcher. And that night actually there were 2 guys who walked up that were on a vision quest. If you guys know what a vision quest is, okay, and so. We encounter people like that sometimes when we're out in the way. They think that we are crazy when they come across us, walking out of the woods in a ghillie suit and stuff. You know what I'm saying? But so
well, I mean,
yeah, we have to
I suppose that they're out there doing their thing. So
yeah,
I don't know listen, just like it says in the bottom of the screen now, what happens in the van stays in the van. Listen, what happens in the woods stays in the woods, right? Is that the deal you guys make too when you go out into the field? As far as how much equipment are you guys taking out there to really keep up with us? Would you say that's a big part of your investigation, or is it more the experience that you mentioned it's just for you guys?
Well, it depends on which team I'm going out with, because like I said, I'm a member of a couple different teams. One team, we just quit taking equipment because we have way more activity without the equipment. Okay. We're not there to document. We're there to experience and to communicate with whatever's out there. Okay. That's the team that I don't talk about my research with. Okay. I don't talk about that very often. Okay. The other team that my friend wrote a book about, that is nothing but equipment. You go out there. I don't carry equipment usually. I have it, but I don't carry it out there very often. I've got it in my bag. It's just heavy, and I don't really care. It is what it is. But those guys are out there taking all the measurements. We got our Geiger counters and our REM pods and the recorders and whatever, EMF detectors, all that kind of stuff. Drone. We even have drones and all the night vision and FLIRs. We have all that. Oh, absolutely.
But do you find that you're getting more or less experience when you've got the equipment with you, or does it not really matter?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
Because some people get really hung up on that. That's a big debate within the paranormal community. Oh, I apologize. I'm interrupting you. Go ahead.
Oh, no, it's okay. No, I can tell you from experience that I don't really think it matters, because my team has recorded some serious activity from trolls. I mean, things that we consider to be like trolls and little people and aliens and portals. We actually have a portal on film and send our teammates into it, and they walk back out. I mean, we have all sorts of really cool, evidence and stuff.
We're gonna hit that.
Yeah, it'll probably be released to the public eventually too, but we'll talk about that when you're ready.
I was going to say, we'll definitely hit that at top of the hour too, for sure, because there's some stuff I want to bring up that way in regards to the portals. Now, I want to know if you're okay with discussing it. You mentioned there's a lot of people. Do you guys have a big group that does the studies, but is there a core group of you? Like a group that you're just really tight with, that you're really working with?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
and
yeah.
with that group, do you think you're having a little more activity? Have you noticed when
Yes.
you keep your circle tight? Okay, I'm just curious because for
Absolutely.
those that are
Yeah.
maybe thinking they want to go do some of this, would you recommend? I guess let's say you're trying to put a team together. What is your recommendation if you're a team? Trying to put a team together to study whatever it is you're into. Are there any recommendations you could give to people out there? Maybe there's some young people listening right now that are like, I want to do this. What would be your recommendation for them?
Yeah. Everyone needs an open mind. I would not, I mean, it's always wonderful to be skeptical. Okay. Be skeptical, have a skeptic on your team, but everyone that goes with you needs to have an open mind, and don't
Mm,
expect to just have Bigfoot activity out there. You have to be open to seeing ghosts and seeing, having alien UFO activity, all that stuff. When you go out there into the woods, just be sure you have people that can handle the weirdness. Okay.
that's a
I
good
My
way to
team and
put
I
it.
we've been inoculated for many years. So we're used to all of this high strangeness. Um I can tell you what not to take, and that's kids and dogs. Okay. Don't take kids and dogs.
Well,
Um
but now have you noticed though that kids and dogs get more active? I mean, I'm not putting it out there, but I'm just saying we've always heard that's one of the general consensus in the general public is that, oh yeah, kids and animals are more open to this. Do you find that to be true, or is that just something that we've just kind of made up along the way?
well, I think that's a good question, because I've never taken my kid out there to where we go, and I would never take my dog because it might get killed. So
But
yeah, and the problem with all that is that we have experienced portals, and about the David Paulides series, Missing 411,
yes,
and
yes,
kids go missing in the woods, and I just don't think it's safe.
I
Never
agree.
go in the woods alone. You guys never go. My team is very diverse. We have everything from wildlife biologists to nuclear scientists to, military to people that worked in the government, and EMTs and firefighters and all that stuff. We have a very wide range of people on my team. We have someone who's an
Hmm.
expert in just about everything. Okay.
But
Um,
that's good to have that broad
it
base,
is. And
right?
we're
So
all
kind of
trained, and we all train each other. So, like, one of the guys is the head of the Georgia Dowser. So, we're all trained in dowsing, right? One of the guys on my team is one of the best remote viewers in the world. And so he taught us all remote viewing. Okay.
that's awesome.
And everybody, and the guys are survivalists, so like we go out and trackers, so we all go do tracking seminars and tracking weekends in the woods, and camo awareness and situational awareness, and you name it, we train all the time in something. Okay.
I
um
love that.
it never
But
ends. So yeah, I mean, but we're a different team than a lot of people, a lot of other teams.
now, did you guys know, if I may ask, when you started this, you said you were doing it just for yourself, clearly, and I'm very glad that we are here having this conversation. Um, did you did you know or think at any point, was it ever in the back of your head that, what, some of these things I'm having, these experiences, I'm going to be asked about them or share them one day? Did that ever cross your mind, or were you just in the
No,
moment, just experiencing it?
I never. Well, I've always kept a journal. Okay, so I have a journal, and I always felt like I just wanted to keep those memories for myself. Okay.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
never had any intention of ever, like I said, ever going public, because the team that I started out with, we are very private. Okay. Now I can't talk about it, and I know all those guys on my team are very proud of me for speaking about the things that we do, and that I'm able to have a nice balance where I don't really give all the secrets away. Okay, if you want to call
Yeah.
it that, I'm able to talk about it without getting into too many details. Okay, but then again, I'm able to talk about the research I do with the other teams. So, but yeah, no, I never thought of that. Like, oh, I'm gonna have to tell. I thought about telling my grandkids one day.
Very
Like, I'll just
true.
tell my kids, my son, and hopefully I'll have grandkids. Yeah. Hey,
Well,
Chad.
I was to say, there's a bunch of them rolling over. By the way, guys, if you've not checked out the Chad Smith podcast, which he has a great little mug right here that I take to work with me each and every single day, you can check that out in the merch over there. But actually, the Paranormal Chop Shop with Sonny and Papa Willie, as well as Spooky Morales and many others, just wrapped over there. So I know a bunch of them are rolling on in. That's why I was going to save your one story in particular that I really want to share, because or have you share if you're open to it, because it's fascinating. Truly blows my mind. Running with Scissors, still one of the great. Still one of the funniest names ever that I've ever seen on YouTube. I really do appreciate that name right there. Is getting into this portal. Now, obviously, this episode is called Jessica Jones in Search of Monsters in the Portals. But you guys, that's not just, and you have your own podcast as well. And again, I've got those links highlighted in the top. Anybody can check that in the show notes if you're listening back. But you guys have had a full-on experience with not a small portal whatsoever. So if you don't mind, can we share that with the listening audience a little bit at this point in time?
Sure. Yeah. Actually, this is the second portal my team's encountered, but it's the only one that we've documented.
Okay.
So it's actually documented. And these portals were in two different locations, totally different parts of the South, let's just say. Okay.
Okay.
And the one that we have documented just kind of showed up out of nowhere. It just kind of appeared in the middle of a field that we call the meadow, that our team goes out and does research in. And, it was just a normal, hey, Kathy. So it was just a normal research weekend, right? And
yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I had a young kid at home, right? I had like a 2 or 3 year old. So I usually could like go out for one night and then I had to go home and take care of my kid, right? So Friday night I was out at the meadow with my team. Saturday I went home, and that's when all the fun happened, right? But I can tell you, that's when the portal showed up. But I can tell you, when I went home, I had orbs floating around my kid that we have on video. Yeah, it's videoed. Okay, I can't show it because my son was in his diaper. Okay, so I haven't been able to show that to the public. But trust me, it happened. Okay. So
we'll take your word on it.
It was really odd though, because I'd never had like solid orbs that my son and I were seeing. And let's just say the person who was recording it could not see the orbs with his own eyes. So that kind of tells you something about experiencing the paranormal. Not everybody can see it. Not everyone is able to tap into that frequency, right? The guy could see it through his phone, but he couldn't see it with his own eyes. But my son and I could. So anyways, besides the point. So my team was out at the meadow, and they all were dispatched to the meadow, which is a long hike in, right, from where we stay, at our base camp. And went out there, and we all divide into teams, right? Like team 1, team 2, team 3. And they went out there, and some of the guys went way far down the field. Some of the people went, just all over the field, right? The meadow. And there was a group of 3 people. One of them is Kristen, my friend, who's actually going to be on my show tomorrow night on Into the Portal. So she's the one who recorded the portal. She actually recorded it. Okay. So you guys tune into my show tomorrow night. Okay. You'll hear from Kristen. But Kristen and David Pardue and Terry Wendell, they've all been on my show. They were sitting there, and David saw a square show up in his thermal imager. And it was just like a white square. And he was like, well, that's really weird. That just came out of nowhere. And it was in an open field. There should be nothing there. Okay. And he couldn't see it with his own eyes, but then he'd pull up his FLIR, and it was there. And he said it looked like a box that had a door on the front of it with crosses in the middle. Okay. He wasn't the only one that saw that.
I guess to paint the full picture here, when we're saying this image showing it, what sizes are we talking, or was that even discussed or looked at?
It was big. Yeah, I mean, I've seen the video of it. It's it's about the size of a shed, like a little she shed.
She shed.
It was like 30 feet, probably something. It was pretty large. It was large. It was a large square. And so this thing started to kind of dissipate a little bit, and so he had Terry looking at it, and then he had Kristen, and Kristen thought to start recording. They sent 2 of my teammates over to it to go check it out. Okay. Cause we all have our ham radios out there, and, they sent a couple of the guys to walk over and check it out. So when the 2 gentlemen,
as previously discussed, you guys are ready to die for this.
Yeah.
Well,
well, what happened was the 2 guys walked over to it, and got next to it, and they disappeared as they walked into the portal. Okay, and we call it a portal because we don't have any other way to label it or describe it, because they said that when they walked into this where it was, they couldn't see it at all with their own eyes, but when they got to where it was, the entire environment changed and they could not see the stars anymore, and it was a beautiful clear night. They said that the vegetation went to like a smooth, like they were walking through like heavy like briars and grass and mud, and that it went to a smooth ground. Okay. And then it felt like they had walked through a black curtain, a velvet curtain is what they said. And then they had enough wherewithal to walk back out. And then as my teammate Kristen's recording it, the thing starts to dissipate and get smaller after they walked out of it, and it disappeared. It actually moved a little bit and then it disappeared. But had they not gotten out of there and walked out of that, what if they had disappeared with it? You know?
Yeah, no kidding. To have the stars, to have everything just start to disappear on you, that's...
Yes.
Breath. I mean, it's terrifying and amazing all at the same time, right? I mean, that's unbelievable in some ways. And this was something you guys had... Did this get caught on camera? I mean, the gentleman had the figure. So this was caught on camera.
Kristen, who's coming on my show tomorrow, recorded it.
We got to make sure we tune into that one, guys, for the full story on that. Because no kidding, like T-Waz is saying, whoa. Yeah, that's an understanding. I mean, whoa, right? What do we do about that? That's unbelievable.
Well, you were asking about the equipment and whatnot, and you know, Bob Grumpy Wilson, he's on my show. So, you know, he's been on my show before and I talk about him all the time. Part of my family. He was on that show, Killing Bigfoot, but I think they had to change the name of it to Bigfoot is Real. But anyways, my Facebook page got suspended because of that. Yeah, they kicked me off Facebook because I posted about his show and I got permanently banned.
Oh,
because of the name of that show. I got permanently banned. Yes, I had to open a new account. Yes.
My wife just recently said something on Facebook. She was just talking with a friend. All she said was, in passing, she was like, yeah, sometimes, she was making a joke too. She's like, sometimes women can be crazy. And she just got a 2-week ban. And telling you guys.
That is so ridiculous.
I know.
That's ridiculous.
And she tried to argue it and I said there wasn't enough people to talk back to her. So.
Oh my God. Whatever.
She's like the least she doesn't do conflict whatsoever, and it's amazing. Just like she's banned right now for that. But anyways,
oh man, well I got permanently banned for killing Bigfoot or whatever. So anyways, no, nobody killed him, and Grumpy would never kill a Bigfoot, by the way, ever. Yeah. So, but yeah, he and Tim, they went into the portal, okay, and came out, and they had their Geiger meters, okay, and there was a radiation spike. Okay, so that measures radiation for people who don't know. And we find that a lot of times when there's paranormal activity, the radiation will spike. Okay. Well, we're not trying to attribute their health decline from going into this portal, but both of them, I'm very sad to say that both of them got terrible health complications after they experienced walking into that portal.
That is very unfortunate. That's I don't think Oracles was even talking about that particular situation, but yes, very sus Oracles. Thank you for that drink right there. I have often wondered about this because so in regards to people that have had experiences being abducted, we've had both. We've had people that have been healed. We've had people that have things have been taken care of for them, and we've had people who just did not have a good outcome because of it. Yeah. And I've often wondered if it's some, let's use the word species or whatever, if there's multiple or whatever the case is, has the proper understanding of bringing our molecular makeup into a different dimension, maybe perhaps, and something about that crossing over does some stuff to us. I don't know. You know, we just don't know with all this stuff, really. And, but that is very unfortunate to hear that they've had these ill effects of their health like that, you know?
Well, you know, it makes you want to not walk into one. Interesting
question from Enzo. I guess that's worth noting.
Okay, the health complications. Well, I think there. Well, one of my teammates passed away. He got a
Oh,
terrible heart complication after that, and we can't say it was from the event, okay? But he's no longer with us, okay? And then Bob, his cancer came back really bad, so it was, like I said, we're not blaming it on that, but yeah.
that's, and I guess, like you said, it's worth noting. You can't ignore it,
Hmm.
right? It's got to at least be noted.
Right.
Would you say, since your team has this open mind approach to all of this, do you guys try to stay as neutral as possible when experiencing something, and then just, I guess, experience it? And now here's what I think is important to get into, is the remote viewing. You mentioned going back and viewing
Hmm.
previous experiences. How vital is that in this research if you can actually relive a moment?
Yeah. I mean, it's the best tool in our toolbox. Okay. Yeah, and yes, we did remote view this. So, yeah, we've all remote. I didn't know what I was remote viewing though. A lot of the times, I'm tasked with a target, and I have no idea what it is
Hmm.
until after the target is completed, and then I can kind of get an idea of what I was looking at. But I didn't even know what I was targeted with when I did that. But yeah, I've done shows about it on my show, Into
Yeah,
the
and you
Portal.
got the show
I
getting
have
ready to
taught.
come up.
Yeah, and well, that's the remote viewing thing is a big deal.
Hmm.
I think a lot of people are very interested in remote viewing, and and being able to go back and look at things like an alleged Bigfoot attack or something. My first show next week is going to be about the Dyatlov. I think that's how you pronounce it. The Dyatlov Pass incident.
Dyatlov Pass.
Dyatlov, yeah, I
Oh
can't
my
pronounce it,
gosh.
but
Nah, hey,
it's
listen, I
about the
couldn't read the word.
Russian.
I couldn't read
Yeah,
the word enigma earlier, so I think we're
it's
even.
okay. We're even.
Dyatlov Pass, you get a pass on.
Dyatlov,
No pun
yes.
intended. You know what I
Thank
mean?
you. Yeah, so I actually remote viewed that today. And I
Ooh,
am not giving away any secrets, but I can tell
come
you
on,
it's going to be
Jessica.
a very interesting show. And
Mm.
if for people who don't know, there were 9 hikers in Russia back in 1959 who went. They were very experienced hikers, but they went on a little journey, and they uh
Ooh,
they were all dead at the end of it. So yes, I can remote view the past. That's what I do. And the future and the present and whatever. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, the hikers, it was suspected that a Yeti, like a Bigfoot, murdered these people. Okay. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I looked into that, and I'm actually going to look into it some more before next week. I'm gonna dive in a little deeper to it, because my
I
my data came back very sus.
Very sus. Great timing, by the way. And Chad Smith, welcome, brother. Thank you for being here. Can't wait to hear your beautiful man voice and your new microphone later, brother. So I just got my two thoughts on that. Oh man, we'll quickly move by. I gotta say, something big either happened to them, something dimensional, or it really was that whole Cold War, espionage stuff made to
Yeah.
look like something bad happened, and that
Oh,
there's a
okay.
lot to it.
I'm not giving
Who
my
knows
data
though? I
away.
know
I'm
you're
not going to
not.
tell you.
I'm just
I can
seeing.
tell you a lot.
We're
I
just seeing.
saw
We
I
know
saw a lot of interesting
you're
things.
locked
Let's put it that
vault.
way.
We'll put it very sus, as
Yeah.
they're all
Well,
saying. Very, very true.
well, speaking of the remote viewing and the topics that we're going to do, the reason that we got this idea to do this show is that Tex and Rob came on my show a couple of weeks ago, and Tex and I had been on their show about a month or so ago, and when I was on their show at Brunch with Bigfoot, Tex had asked me if I could remote view an incident that happened at Brown Springs, Oklahoma, and that's where he researches.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay. Where a couple had been brutally murdered. Okay. And people in the town had always suspected it was a Bigfoot. So,
Okay.
I kind of put it on the back burner and didn't really think about it too much because, I was like, well, I don't usually do remote viewing targets unless it's something for the team or a missing person or something like that. That's high priority kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking, man, I'd really like to look into that because I invited them on my show. So I surprised them with it. Okay. And at the end of the show, I was like, hey, I remote viewed the couple that got murdered. and I announced my data, and I not all of it because it was very graphic, but it turns out it was not a Bigfoot. Okay.
Mm.
So, but I was able to see what it was, and so it was kind of cool. I got really good feedback from that part of the show, and so we were like, hey, let's do a show about that. Let's look into some more paranormal attacks.
It's one of those things that, and as people are talking about it here, obviously with being able to remote view. Well, let's start at the beginning of this. Where did one yourself learn that this was even possible, that you could remote view, and that, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've said in the past anyone can do it. Do you
Yeah.
believe, do you stand behind that anybody can remote view?
I mean, anybody can. Now, is everybody going to be good at it? Maybe, maybe not. So, I mean, people can be taught. I got to say, I think not everyone's cut out for remote viewing, to be honest, but anyone can learn. Let's just put it that way. Okay. Yeah. I did not even know about remote viewing really until I was taught remote viewing.
Okay.
So yeah, one
Let,
of the guys on my team is an amazing remote viewer, and he taught us, but he
yeah.
he did a thorough investigation of each of us beforehand to make sure we were cut out for it. Okay, so like let's say if I were to teach someone remote viewing, I would have to know that person very well. Okay, I would have to. I
Makes
wouldn't just teach it
sense.
to anybody. Yeah, I would definitely need to get to know that person and see what kind of frequency they're on, because this stuff can be used for bad intentions. And and I have a code of ethics. I don't go looking into people's lives because it's
Appreciate that.
very, very intrusive. Yeah, it can be very intrusive.
I have a question in regards to that a little bit. And Bigfoot Michigan Rob agreed it's going to be a sweet show for
Thank
sure.
you. He's going to be my
Which
co-host.
is, it's going to be a great time.
Yeah.
This is interesting from Zach saying, I remote viewed accidentally. Now, can one accidentally do it and know that they're accidentally doing it? Again, I'm not a
I mean,
remote
you could
viewer,
do
so I
like
don't
an
know.
astral travel kind of thing, I guess. Yeah. I mean,
Mm,
see, I'm trained in very specific forms of remote viewing, like coordinate remote viewing and energetic remote viewing, and there's definitely steps that you have to take to really get into that stuff. So, people throw around the word remote viewing pretty loosely, I've learned, and so
yeah.
you know, I'm actually formally trained in remote viewing, so it's a
Okay.
little different than what some people think remote viewing is. Yeah.
Agreed. But now
Hmm.
with this, and I do apologize. I just had a point that I was going with that. In regards to, you said not everybody will be able to handle this.
Hmm.
Um, do you think there'll be a point where it will be a part of our progression naturally as a species, that it will be just as common as getting on and texting on your phone, that this remote viewing will move to that eventually as a species?
I hope so. I really hope so. I mean, I think that's part of the reason that I've been put in this, I want to say, I guess, the spotlight to talk about this stuff, because I think that it is important that we take small steps now to start getting there. Okay. Like, take the fluoride out of water. Okay. And your
Mm.
toothpaste. Okay.
But it's
Start,
the only thing that treats us and not the water. We need it for the water, though. I'm just kidding. That's a whole other thing.
no, you don't need it at
No, I
all.
know we don't. I'm
Actually,
saying it's the only thing in the
it's the
water that's
wrong
not
kind of
meant to treat the
fluoride.
water. I know.
No,
That's a
it's
whole
to,
other
to keep
story.
us all dumb and,
There's some stuff.
just
There's
saying.
some sus stuff. We'll dig into it. You
Yeah.
guys can dig into it. I'm sure some of you are laughing about it right now, but just look into it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
No, let's do this too for people that are maybe curious about this. Somebody might be going, "Hey, what are we talking about? Remote viewing? What are we talking about? Why don't we do this, Jess? Let's pretend someone who has never heard of remote viewing. Let's just tell them a general idea, concept. What is remote viewing, and what are the positive ways that this can be used?
Okay. Yeah. Well, remote viewing is locating a target psychically. I don't like to use the word psychically, but to put it in terms that people could understand, it's locating a target that you do not usually don't know what it is by using psychic abilities. Okay. It's like you're transcending time and space to travel into, locations or whatever. And I pull information kind of out of the matrix, right?
Okay.
Um, it's yeah, it's really, it's kind of crazy, right? Back in the, the Cold War era, governments all over the world basically were using psychic spies, for espionage and stuff like that. So I think that's where it kind of got popular, and where people started learning about it with, Project Jedi and Stargate and all that kind of stuff. So
Wait, we just got to put a pin in this really quick. I'm so sorry to interrupt. I knew about Project Stargate, Project Looking, but there's a Project Jedi?
yeah, I am a Jedi.
Gotta put the notes on this one,
Yeah.
because I'm one of my favorite
Yeah.
pastimes, guys, is going on the CIA government database and just downloading stuff that they freely,
Yeah.
like, you can go download stuff that they've
Unclassified.
studied. Oh my gosh, it's the best time ever.
Yeah.
Jedi. All right, I
Yeah.
apologize. So you're
Yeah.
essentially pulling this information from the Matrix, as
Out
it
of the
were.
Matrix. Yeah. I mean, I've got my target right here for my show next week. It's
Ooh, there we go.
it's gonna be that's gonna be really fun, actually. But yeah, it's basically just I do core remote viewing the most. That's what I'm best at, and that's what I do the most. It's where you actually write everything down, and you have charts that you chart everything out on, and anything that you experience, you write it down. So it's like any kind of
Okay.
sensory data. If you smell something, if you feel something, if it makes you feel a certain type of way, any words. I mean, a lot of times I'll be doing a target, and rap songs will come into my head, like Dead Prez songs and stuff. And so I just have to like write down whatever I'm hearing. But there's a place on those charts for everything that you're experiencing. And so after page after page after page of data, it finally stops when nothing will come to you anymore. It finally, you stop the session and you've got your target. Okay. So and it can be anything from a location to an object to a historical event to, you name it, an off planet, something going on off planet, missing people. I have been asked to help locate missing people for cold cases and things like that. So that's something that I actually enjoy doing, that kind of stuff. It's not always pretty, but if it can help a family or law enforcement or whatever to try to locate people, it's actually, it kind of helps. It makes me feel good to be able to do that kind of stuff. So
That's awesome. But
yeah.
just really quick, just so it doesn't fall too far back here. If Ren is still here, she said, "Can you remote view while dreaming?" Now, I feel like you might have answered that a little bit, but what would be your answer to that?
I mean, that's just like astral projecting, basically. So it's very similar, a little different, but kind of the same. So yeah, I mean, I'm the kind of person who lives in different dimensions simultaneously. I think most of us do. A lot of us do. So
Yeah.
I'm constantly going between like 5D and I hate living in this 3D reality, honestly, but
And this is something that's been
sure.
coming up more and more.
Yeah.
Who is it just recently? I don't know if you know Jess Rogue or Jess Rogie at the Rogie Report over
Mm-mm.
there. Anyways, her and I were talking about this, the 5D thing coming up a lot more. And I believe it was Dolores
Canon. Uh-huh.
Cannon. Thank you. I almost said
Yeah.
Canyon. I was like, that's wrong.
Can't.
Dolores Cannon. And we were going over this, and there's a lot to it, so I don't pretend to know any of it. That is one thing I will never claim as knowing what's going on. But
Oh, I don't know anything. I'm with you.
it's intriguing. I'll say that. I one other thing I do want to ask you, because I am going to open up the lines here for about the last half hour for people to come on in. If they'd like, they can call in, or they can just put the questions in the chat, guys. Please ask
Yeah.
away. Ren says, "Thank you for answering, Jessica."
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, Enzo is saying this 3D reality is very inconvenient.
Oh, it's so terrible, isn't it?
Well, let's
But
talk
hey,
about just really quickly any other, before people start asking questions. Is there any other big event that you had, whether it be paranormal or Bigfoot or UFO related, that you think would be interesting for those that might just be generally listening right now? And then I know some of the questions, and we might even have a guest or two hop on here with us for the last half hour.
let me think. I mean, I've had a lot of experiences. Something that I've touched on before when I've talked with people is about how I started studying about aliens and alien abductions, right? After the experience that I had out in the field with the UFOs. And I started reading books about abductions, like The Threat and Communion and alien life. And, I don't know, I can't remember, but there were a bunch of books, right? And And it was a little unnerving because I was like, oh, this kind of sucks. I think I might have been abducted. That may have been what happened to me. And and then suddenly I started having ETs in my bedroom at night. Like I would wake up and there were
Really?
two different circumstances, two different times, incidents, call them incidents, where I woke up with little aliens in my room. Yeah, twice.
How do you handle that? I mean, when you open your eyes and you're seeing this, and I get when I guess we didn't clarify all this. You're a bit inoculated to a lot of this, right? At this
Mm-hmm.
point, is a term I've heard you use quite a bit. Is that some of these things don't terrify you as much. So seeing this, do you just tend to experience it more than just the reaction?
Yeah. Well, anytime you wake up out of a dead sleep, it's hard to process anything, right? So, yeah.
True.
So you wake out of a dead sleep. The first time that it happened, there were two little people standing in my doorway, and yeah, my brain was just trying to process it, and I guess I got knocked out. I think they have the ability to make you fall back to sleep. Um, and the second time, it was more like a big tall figure was standing by my bed with like it looked like the Grim Reaper. Okay, it had like a cloak,
Wow.
like a hood on and stuff, but the way it was moving. Now, if you've ever seen an alien in real life, they don't move like a human at all. Okay,
Mm-mm.
especially when they run. Okay, they don't move. Um, so yeah, and even when they stand, I could tell it. I knew it was an alien just by looking at the way its hands were and stuff. But yeah, it's really weird. So I had to, I was able to kind of shut it down by just, I stopped reading those books. Okay. I stopped reading
Shut
those
that
books.
down. I will
I shut
shut
it
that
down
down.
and I had not had any more experiences. But now who's to say that those things weren't always there? I just had not opened myself up to that frequency yet, you know?
True. Very true.
Yeah.
Connor's asking, or maybe a bit of a request here. Jess, tell us about your speaking
Speaking
event.
of it, yeah.
Speaking
Well,
of events.
I'm going to be speaking at the Georgia Bigfoot Conference next month, actually. So that's coming up in Georgia, in Clayton, Georgia, up in the Northeast Mountains, and at the Rabin Civic Center, I think. But anyway, thanks, Connor. Yeah, that's the only one I can think of right now that I've got going on as far as speaking goes
Heck
publicly.
yeah.
So if you guys want to come meet me in public, in
There we
person,
go.
get your tickets. Okay.
Get your tickets.
Yeah, get your tickets.
Divine Diamond 1 is asking, have you ever picked up someone remote viewing you?
I have. Yeah. A bunch of times, actually. Now, the one time I picked up myself remote viewing myself.
Well, interesting. So how you realized you
Oh,
were remote viewing
man.
yourself, huh?
I live a very interesting life. Let's just put it that way. Yes, I believe it was me. But, a lot of times when we'll be training in remote viewing, we do get presences. Like it's almost like people are watching us and stuff. So, yeah, we picked up on people watching us.
Very interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think I guess I kind of have a question then. So, in regards to this, and maybe I just want to pick your brain and your thoughts on it at least. First of all, and I believe you've kind of hit on this before, but do you believe, maybe in more than one life cycle? Do you believe you've had more than one yourself?
Hmm. I've lived many lifetimes. I think I'm a very old soul. Yes.
Yeah. Would
Yes. I believe in reincarnation 100%. I do.
do you think that there's a point where in our life cycles or the times that we're making our rotations, do you think that we accomplish more the earlier we wake up, as it were? I'll use that lightly, or quotations there, to the idea that maybe there is more than just one life cycle. Do you think that it has made you much more open to all these other things really related to that? Just that idea alone, that maybe I'm more than this one run.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's all about remembering who we are, right? And
Hmm.
why we're here. I mean, I hear that all the time, but I live it now, because I am remembering who I am. And I know that I've been here for many, 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 many lives. So, yes. And what we're doing right now is what we've been training lifetimes to do. So,
Poor
yeah,
Pam
I
Smith.
absolutely believe that. I'm
Pam
tired
Smith
too,
says, "Me
Pam. I'm
too." Yeah.
exhausted.
He says, I'm tired
I'm
and
like,
wore out. I don't
I've
know
been
what
coming
to
here and
do this
waking
time
people up for
either.
lifetimes, man. Y'all wake up. Wake up already.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
kidding.
So this is interesting. Again, coming from Zach said, I've accidentally remote viewed a few times. Actually, it seems to happen when I'm upset about something. It's very weird.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, because when your emotions are heightened and everything, it's like your senses are heightened, right? So, I mean, it can happen just like when that vase floated in front of me in my house. It's almost like a psychokinetic type thing, right? This world
Very
is a lot
true.
weirder than we let on. We live in a very strange universe.
Now,
So
one other thing I just thought about too, and this is a definite experience that's worth mentioning. You did have one event. Now, I know we already said you're a ninja. We already know this. But you did have an event in the woods that did terrify you a little bit. And would you mind speaking to that particular instance, at least, where you were
I
genuinely just
did.
a
I
little
was
shaken?
I was generally scared one time.
Okay.
Okay.
What
Actually, I
took
mean, there
place
have been
there?
plenty of times. There have been plenty of times I was a little bit scared, right? Hearing, because I can sense things more than a lot of people, I think, and you can sense when it's crawling on the ground, creeping up behind you and stuff, and it's really scary when you can't see. And I don't have a thermal or a FLIR to look to see what it is. But there was one evening where, yeah, we were in base camp. I was with my team and we were just chilling, just, hanging out, and it was dark, and something ran up behind our tents and let out this god awful scream, moan, animals, not animal. It was not even an animal sound. It was some kind of weird noise I've never heard before in my entire life. And I probably will never hear it again. And I've heard the Bigfoot vocalizations.
Hmm.
I don't think this was a Bigfoot. Uh, we're going to call it an interdimensional. Okay. And that night, we had rocks and acorns pelted at our tents all night. So
Huh.
really weird stuff. Yeah. That was the only time I was actually kind of scared that night. And it was kind of funny because like I put my tent really close to other people. I usually put my tent way off away from everybody just in case I snore, right? I don't want anybody hearing me snoring if I do, right? I don't think I do, but I probably do. So
Well,
anyways, but
yeah, it's happened.
that night I put my tent right up next to everybody else's. I mean, I was literally like at arm's length from another tent, right? And nobody slept that night. And all I heard, like, as we were hearing like whoops and like my tent was getting pelted, one of the guys on my team said, "Remember, we do this for fun." So it was like, just remember, we're doing this for fun, everybody, as we're all laying in our tents, like have like stone cold, out of, not fear really, but just kind of like, oh, this sucks. Um, yeah, it was wild.
Uh, We'll tell you what, we have a guest backstage, so I'll bring him on because I'd like to open this up for anybody who has any other questions for the fantastic and talented Jessica Jones here, as we have about 25 minutes left of the show. So, Keats, welcome, or Magic, thank you for coming on to the show.
Yeah,
How is
good
your
to see you
evening
guys,
going?
and nice to meet you, Jess.
Hi, nice to meet you
Yeah,
too.
I've got so many questions, especially coming from a practitioner of different metaphysical, paths and workings, especially in the magic frame. I've found that there's kind of this remote viewing in the sense that I'll have visions in kind of trance-like states, only for it to be, solidified or proved through research as to what I saw.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I was wondering if you had any practices like that that strengthen or, exercise that muscle outside of, meditation or, you know.
Yeah. Well, I just pay attention to energies and things around me. We've done practices of just noticing the energy change when you go from one environment to the next. Like you walk in from your kitchen into your living room
Mhm.
and you feel
Yeah.
the subtle energy difference. And then you walk into your bathroom to your bedroom or something. You just notice little shifts in energies. And if you've ever noticed just shifts and how you feel when you get around certain people and things like that, I mean, that's how we practiced and whatnot. And of course, I always do remote viewing targets and stuff. So that's how I keep
Yeah.
my muscles strong,
I
but
love it. So you're
yeah.
talking about like these power points within the atmosphere.
Uh-huh.
Like you can find places that actually tune it better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, you just, just notice the energies around you all the time. Just always be aware, okay?
Mhm.
Always be aware and just I don't know, just feel the shifts. Feel the shifts when somebody walks in the room, stuff
So
like
what is
that.
the actual action like when you're doing it? Is it a deep meditative state? Is it ritualistic in any way? Is it
You're talking about remote viewing, right?
yeah, just like
Well,
yeah,
it depends.
succinctly.
Well, I mean, we call it like protocol, but it's
Okay.
all a matter of perspective. It could be ritual, something like
Mhm.
that. I mean, I sit down when I read tarot cards, I light a candle every time,
Yep.
I open up the energy. And so when we do remote viewing, if we're doing energetic remote viewing, that's like in a hypnotic state. Okay. So
Right.
yes, we do. And we have to take steps to protect yourself. You have to go into theta. You have to go there.
Mm.
There's certain things and that we have to do, and it is kind of ritualistic, in a way, but we don't call it that. I mean, but a ritual is like brushing your teeth every morning. I mean, a ritual could
Exactly.
be
Yeah,
anything,
I say ritual meaning to have,
Yeah,
some sort of pomp and circumstance, ceremonial
yeah,
kind of idea of getting into it. But that's
yeah,
awesome. You just kind of pick it up as you go and feed off that.
yeah, yeah,
All right.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a protocol. We everything the
Right.
different types of remote viewing are different. With coordinate remote viewing, I like doing that the best because I just write everything down, and I'm not going into theta with that, but like I have to kind of empty my brain of all the noise. Okay, you have
Yeah,
to
like
just
an
it
automatic
is like
writing.
meditation. Beg
Yeah.
your pardon?
Automatic writing,
Yeah,
that sort of
absolutely. Yeah, I
yeah.
do that. You just your subconscious is like sitting there writing little ideograms, and your brain picks
Yep.
them out. And yeah, it is automatic writing. Absolutely.
Yeah. Very cool. Well,
Yeah,
thank you for taking my questions.
absolutely. Those were good questions. Thanks,
Yeah,
Keats.
They were,
I'm
yeah.
Yeah,
kind of a
I like
weirdo
it.
too. Yeah.
Me too.
That's the
Thank
way we
you.
do it. Hey, when I'm ending any show, I always tell people to stay curious and keep it weird. That's the
Yeah,
Yes.
stay
only
weird.
assignment that I ask them to keep going. So,
Yeah, I tell
um,
my friends to slither hither, weirdos and
ooh,
witches.
look at that. That's a solid one right there. I like that. This is an interesting kind of note from TUS says living in the city makes it impossible. Too much people energy. So you
Ugh, yeah.
experienced this. What is that about?
Oh, I feel you. I can't stand too much energy. I mean, I'm a hermit, honestly. I mean, I try not to go anywhere if I don't have to. I mean, people have been seeing me on the web a lot and like doing these shows and everything, but I try not to go anywhere. Is that terrible? Because I have to protect my energy because there are a lot of energy vampires. And let me tell you, like over the past couple of years, I have really raised my vibrational frequency by staying away from people, and cutting out negativity out of my life. And I think that everyone could benefit from doing things like that.
Yeah, learning the power of the block button as a
Exactly. Thank you.
protection magic. You
It
know?
even with social media, I always tell people clear out the clutter. Get rid of anything
Yeah.
that brings you down. Any kind of, like these fake social media, superficial people that are just all about the money, the clothes, and the hose.
Right.
That kind of stuff. It's like let's get rid of all that stuff. Let's keep it authentic and real, and follow people that make you feel good. On social media.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, but also at the same time, there is a little bit of adversity to kind of push you towards what you're singing with more, right?
Right.
So it's
For
not
sure.
just like blocking out everything that doesn't agree with you, but it's
Right.
also learning how to keep, what flows
The
in.
balance. I mean, we all need
Yeah.
that duality, right? So,
True.
we need the
Speak.
negativity, but
Yes.
not too much of it.
Unfortunately.
Right.
Speaking of bringing it and having balanced duality, we have a couple other guests. I'm going to bring them at the same time. Mr. Crowley, welcome to the show, brother. Beard is looking good, though. I do like the trimmed up look. It's not all
You
bad.
like it?
Yeah.
Listen. I do think it looks good. As much as I prefer beard, and I prefer those that have beards, I think you're rocking the solid, distinguished. I don't know what we call it. It's way more than a 5 o'clock shadow, but it's well trimmed. Well
I
trimmed.
had to
beard
let
there.
go of the past.
Had to let go. And speaking of that, let's bring in Mr. Bim Jim as well. Thank you for being here, Bim Jim. Oh,
Wow.
actually, Oh, there you go. You're audio only. There we
Wow,
go.
what a
Welcome to the
crowd. What a crowd. What a crowd. This is amazing. Now, Jessica, I just have to
Hey,
say I'm not stalking you. I'm not.
I just talked to you before the show, right?
Yes, 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 yes.
I need to talk
That's
to you.
always how
Yes.
you should start a conversation.
This
by the way.
this just happened to work out. Now, oh, I have had a stalker myself. I've had one. He was very
Oh.
polite though. He's a very polite guy. Now, okay.
Me too. His name is Willie.
Yeah. I sort of I lost the train of discussion. So whatever you people want to talk about, I'll join in.
Very nice. Well, let's do this then really quick. Since you were willing to talk about Mr. Crowley, did you have any direct question for Jessica?
Why you ask me that?
Well, I'm just
Of course
curious.
I did.
Okay, well, let's
You
do
weren't-
it. What's your question?
You weren't just baiting me into this.
Oh,
I actually
let's
had
see.
a legitimate question.
Let's
Thank
do
you.
that then really
All right.
quick.
No, it's I took up Buddhism and I do a lot of meditation now. What different level do you have to get to do out of body or astral projection, what have you? What do you have to do to get to that level?
Well, I can only speak from what I know. Okay. I'm not super familiar with the whole concept of Buddhism and whatnot. I do know that I did a lot of training with the Monroe Gateway program, and we had to do levels of getting into theta. There's different levels of meditation that we had to learn. Okay, and it's something that we had to train over and over and over and over again. And that's like the binaural beats and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you can do remote viewing without
acoustics.
yeah. Well, you can remote view without doing so much of that, but you really get into a deeper state when you do those levels of all of the meditation and whatnot with like the Monroe Gateway program. Okay. So yeah, I mean, you can do it, but you may not get deep into it, if you don't train, like we trained.
Yeah, I'd
that kind of
imagine
stuff.
too in Buddhism there's not really levels, It's not
There's
like
definitely levels.
well,
No, there's
it's
levels.
not like a video game. You're not like gaining something,
No.
gaining something. But yeah.
No, it's
Yeah.
deeper levels of meditation, for consciousness and
Yeah.
introspection and what have you. So I was just curious, like,
Yeah, it's probably very similar. Actually, it's probably similar actually to remote viewing in a way. But I'd like to look into that. So very interesting. Thank you for bringing that up. Actually,
yeah, I was just curious.
really
'cause,
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, Bree. You're looking good too, sweetheart. Anyway,
Do you want to hear me talk about meditation?
sure.
Well, I first learned about it when I was a teenager from a friend of mine who was doing it. And I didn't, I listened to him, but I didn't try it for quite a long time. And then halfway through my life, my doctor prescribed meditation to me. And I met with a meditation teacher. And I had one lesson with her. I sat down and she told me what to do. I've just followed her instructions. And when the half hour was up, she said, "You are meditating. You are already meditating." She says, I just went deep into meditation when I followed her instructions, and I did what I believed was meditation, which is really very simple to me as I do it. I just say, okay, find the off switch in your mind and switch it off. Now you are meditating. It's that simple to me. That's what I do. And I can do it for seconds. If I'm in a very stressful situation, like I'm just going to write an exam or something like that, and I'm getting really nervous and shaky and everything, I'll just switch that switch off in my mind. I close my eyes usually, and I roll my eyes back, and I find the off switch. I switch it off, and it clears the mind. It's like the F5 button on your computer or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the off switch in your mind. Now from that though, I also through my life I've thought about this, and I realized that I have a mode switch on my mind, and I switch it. It gets either I switch it or it gets switched from mode to mode to mode. And another mode I have is art mode. And when I get into art mode, like I'm writing short stories, okay, I will write a short story. I used to write on a mechanical typewriter. I'd write a short story, but as I was writing it, I was I was not there. And when I finished writing it, I would read it and I would laugh my head off and think, "What a wonderful short story! This is hilarious, right?" It came from somewhere else. I think I was channeling in somehow, and I even
Sure.
wrote short stories about Sean. But that's another mode. Okay, art mode. I also played music, where I kind of went into a trance and I played a flute. This guy
Hmm.
had a flute, a silver flute, and I said, "Oh, can I try that?" I'd never played a silver flute. I played in a band, but I played trumpet, and then and I'd never really blown on a flute. And I picked up this flute, and I just started. Well, I'll just blow into it and wiggle my fingers. And the guy who owned the flute said, "Where did you learn to play the flute?" And the same thing happened with me with a sitar, a stringed instrument, Indian stringed instrument. I sat down, I just wiggled my fingers around, and the guy who played the sitar, he says, "What the heck? Where did you learn that?" Right now, okay, this is connecting with, and I've seen other musicians do this. Is like a trumpet player who did scat and bebopping in jazz. You know what scat and bebopping is?
Bibbidi-bop.
Yeah. So this trumpet player was, he was introduced by the band leader and saying, "Oh, now so and so is going to jump up and do some scatting and bebopping." The guy puts his trumpet down. He starts scatting and bebopping. The crowd went crazy. It was fantastic, right? And then he quit. He stopped scatting and bebopping, and he just stood there looking around like he was in a trance, and he didn't know what he'd done. And he sat down, and everybody was screaming and yelling and clapping and loving his scatting and bebopping, right? But this is the art mode, I would say, and I would say also about the art mode, because I've thought about this in philosophy and everything.
Well,
But
hang on one second there, Bim Jim. I just really quickly, just because we only have Jessica for about 12 more minutes here. Just out of curiosity, did you have a direct question for Jessica at all?
Jessica, I have some. Oh, when you mentioned that there are things you can't talk about on another show, you said, "Oh, I can't talk about that," right? And
Mhm.
yeah, and I don't know why you say that, but I say that myself too, because I know some of the secret knowledge of the indigenous people, and they tell me don't say that, don't tell anybody that, or don't write it down, don't record it. It's the secret knowledge. And you mentioned something about right and wrong, like ethics. Like if a person has a power, they should use it ethically. Is that am I understanding you there?
Yes. I mean, you know, I believe so. I mean, that's what I do with my remote viewing. Now, the things that I say I don't talk about is not because it's secret knowledge by, some sort of higher power secret knowledge. It's because my team, we just don't like discussing our research, because even if we told the public, most of them are just going to discredit it or make fun of us or something. So it's that kind of a thing, and our research is ongoing. So that's why I don't talk about my research. Okay.
Hmm.
So it's more of that kind of thing. And going to the point about you talking about how you pick up an instrument and you just can play it, do you think that might have something to do with a past life? I mean, that sounds like you might have had some talent in a past life, and that's my
I've
opinion.
thought I've thought of that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a possibility. They're all possibilities to me. I don't have any set belief systems so much.
Okay.
Not really stuck. I'm still looking for that.
Interesting.
But Buddhism is wonderful. I think it's incredible. I get I
Yeah.
get I get wisdom from Buddhism. I get wisdom from the indigenous knowledge. Those are the two places I hear and see wisdom.
Cool. Very
Interesting.
neat. Yeah. Cool
Now,
insight. Thank you.
from hearing that, I've got to ask, what are your thoughts? Because going all the way back to the very first questions that you were asking those gentlemen in that meeting with coming out and saying, "Here's our Bigfoot expedition."
Hmm.
What do you think? What is your answer if you've got one to why we aren't finding a Bigfoot body or any of the evidence? What's going on there? In your words.
Well, in my opinion, I believe that they are interdimensional beings. And I'll just say it. I think that there's more of a metaphysical aspect of these creatures, that they're not just flesh and bone. I think that they're able to access something where they're coming in and out of portals. I mean, considering what my team has documented, that we have the evidence, there are portals out there, and we see footprints that just disappear into nothingness. We see tire tracks that are in the middle of a field where there's no access for a car to be out there, and they just stop in midair, like a vehicle just appeared out of nowhere or disappeared into nothing.
Now here goes another question for you. Okay, so you're going to say they're interdimensional and they can pop in and out of our dimension. So are they responsible for the missing people and missing 411?
I don't think that Bigfoot is responsible for the missing people. I think the people are going missing because they're walking into these portals. Now, yes, it's absolutely possible that something is grabbing people and taking them into these portals. Absolutely. I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but I can tell you what I think. And it doesn't mean I'm right, but I'll tell you what I think. I'm not scared to talk about it. Yeah.
Talk away. That's why we're here. Talk.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've heard, I don't want to call it a conspiracy because I think a lot of conspiracy theories are real, of course. But, I've heard that there's a chance that there are, I don't know if it's government. I don't know if it's, occult things going on. I don't know, but it's very possible that there are people or creatures coming in and out of portals and grabbing people and taking them somewhere. I don't know where they're going.
But you don't think it's Bigfoot?
I don't know. It could be. Could be.
Just question.
I don't think so. I think Bigfoot gets a bad rap. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and state that too.
He's getting the short end of the deal here.
That's why I'm doing my show about remote viewing, and it premieres next Friday night at 9 p.m. Okay, on my YouTube channel and with Texas Front Porch. Okay, they're going to be my co-hosts on remote viewing investigations with Jessica Jones, and I'm actually going to be looking into cases like this. And the cases that I've looked into so far, one of the cases, it was a suspected Bigfoot attack, and it turned out it had nothing to do with Bigfoot. Okay, so I think that Bigfoot gets blamed for things that people do. Okay. So it's just an easy way for people to explain these things away.
Very, very true. Is very true. Another interesting point here from Zach, which is a couple minutes ago, is saying it's quite interesting how there seems to be UFO sighting. They're seen in conjunction to Bigfoot sightings. Has this something your team experienced or not?
100%. Yeah, that's the first time I was out on the expedition. I had UFOs flying over my head all night, and there were Bigfoots in the vicinity. So absolutely, yes, that happens. And just about every time there's Bigfoot activity, we see orbs. Okay, so what is an orb? We have orbs all over the place in the woods. They follow us. They make designs and, form into triangles, and, it's really interesting.
Are you familiar with the ultra terrestrial super spectrum theory, the John Keel stuff?
I'm not. I don't think I'm super familiar with that.
Yeah, it's kind of like all of these exists in an ethereal plane, from ghosts to Bigfoot to all of this, and the kind of machination is that they're all connected in some way, and I guess somewhat interdimensionally. I'm not sure if you've used that terminology, but I think you've said something dimensional based.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that Bigfoots are able to come in and out of this dimension, or maybe what if it's just our eyes can't detect Bigfoot? Maybe they're just disappearing and reappearing. Maybe it's the color that they are, or maybe it's something that we just can't detect, with our little human eyes and our little human brains.
Yeah, 2020 is nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and that was part of my theory on that, is we've reached a different vibrational level.
Yeah.
To where we're actually, able to see things, on different. Sorry, damn it, phone.
Good.
Always fall apart. I don't know who that was.
Yeah, just as simple as eye resolution.
No, but we've reached a technological level and a vibrational level as a civilization to where we're actually able to start seeing and experiencing these things in different, ways. So
you mean so even more so now?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can see that.
we all evolve. It's all evolution.
Right.
You know what I mean? We've evolved how many times and how many ways over, tens of thousands of years, and what was magic before is now technology.
Sure.
So
Right.
what is magic to us now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Good
And
point.
in 10,000 years, that will be technology to us.
Right.
So that's just kind of
the
my
technology of conforming will.
it's kind of my way of seeing the universe. So
Sure.
Yeah.
It's very true. There's a lot to look at there. Well, I tell you what, guys, with about only 4 minutes to go, why don't we do it this way? We'll go back out the way we came in. Tony, where can people find you? If you'd like to let everybody know really quick here, and then we'll go along with Keats as well, and then back on to Miss Jessica. But Mr. Crawley, where can people find you, if you'd like to put that out there?
leeching off of you guys, UFO Garage.
Heck yeah, that's true. Very nice. And what about yourself, Mr. Bim Jim? Where can we find you? Maybe
Unmute. Sorry.
No worries. I was about to get it.
I'm on my YouTube channel, and I got about 80 videos there that I made myself and uploaded, but only one of them is about the paranormal. You can listen to that. It's a 15-minute talkie. I tell a story about my first time going through a portal, and I went through portals maybe another 16 times, something like that. But that's all I have online about the paranormal. That I plan to make a full audio book called My Paranormal Autobiography, and I'm working on that. And I just have the one sample there now on my YouTube page, and it's my account of going through a portal the first time I went through. So that's all I got. I got a Facebook page, but whatever.
Very nice.
Nothing
Very
going
nice.
on. Facebook is kindergarten. I just use it from time to time.
I actually pushed this on Into the Fray with Shannon LeGros and what have you. But there's a book called Magic Kingdom for Sale Sold. Okay.
Very nice.
And it's basically about, this rich guy's wife died, his kids were gone, and he bought a key to a kingdom. And he went to West Virginia and he walked through this portal, which was kind of, surrounded by fae. And he walked into this magic kingdom. It's just, with the way we discuss these things and all the different topics that we discuss, I read this book's from like 1985, 86. I can't remember, but it's by Terry Brooks.
Terry Brooks.
Wait. Magic Kingdom for Sale Sold. I think it's by Terry Brooks. Let me make sure.
R.I.P.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, really quickly, though, because I only got Jessica for about 60 more seconds here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, really quick, though, Keats, where can people find you if you'd like to put that out there for anybody?
YouTube, just Prag Magic with a K. There's interviews, there's audiomancy, there's essays, there's all sorts of stuff. And just pragmagic.com has everything. So.
Very nice. And then obviously, Miss Jessica Jones, I've got your notes in the chat right now, as well as if you're listening back to this, you guys, it's in the show notes. Where can we find you? Because I'm sure the people want to know more. We went with just the tip tonight, Jessica, of getting into some of this stuff.
Yeah, well, you can go to my website, thecryptidhuntress.com. I also am on YouTube at The Cryptid Huntress. So, and on Instagram, I'm at The Cryptid Huntress. And my shop is War Woman Goods. And my show with KGRA is Into the Portal _Jessica on Instagram. But yeah, you guys watch my show tomorrow night, Into the Portal on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. It'll be broadcast live on my YouTube channel. I'm going to have Kristen Payton on my show, who's my teammate who filmed the portal in the meadow. So you guys are not going to want to miss that. She also has Bigfoots on her parents' property and all sorts of tracks and evidence and all sorts of really cool stuff we're going to show tomorrow night. And it's going to be awesome. Also, I've got remote viewing investigations with Jessica Jones coming on next Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And that's with Texas Front Porch. Those guys are all going to be my co-hosts, and we're going to talk about the Russian Yeti attack, or the alleged Russian Yeti attack.
Yeah.
And I'm going to remote view that and share my findings with you guys. So
now, are you going to share them, or are you going to say there's stuff you can't share?
I'm gonna share some of it, but yeah, I may be.
Let's
Well, actually,
see.
I'm thinking about putting all my actual data on Patreon, so people can
Very nice.
get the real deal if you really want it.
There
Yeah.
we go. Very smart. Well, I tell you what, guys, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming along on this ride. Jessica, thank you for driving Old Blue along here into the in and out of portals as we discussed many things, and I believe many more conversations to come in the future. So thank you to each and all of you who have joined us tonight. And I want to ask, as we always head out, to please stay curious and keep it weird.
Thank you.
Oh, hang on, guys. I forgot. I can't even play. There's a little thing. We're getting some stuff fixed here. YouTube hates us, apparently. And the song that we all loved and said we wanted played at our funeral, I've got all the paperwork for it. I own it. But they say we can't play it anymore. So we're going to go with the intro video again. Let's do this. Let's mix it up. Let's go with Ben and Joe's. Hang on. What do they got over here? Let's do
the funk. Do the funk.
Let's play one of their funky ones. Let me go find their background. Here we go. Where's it at? Let me see if you named it funk. It should be. Let's try it out, guys. Let's end it on this one. Here we go. UFO Garage.